Hello, all my JavaScript friends. This is TheVirtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is our snake game. This video is going to cover the body of the snake. As the snake is made up of two different sections, the head and the body. And the body itself is made up of nothing more than just a collection of segments. And we covered segments in our last video. Again, a segment is nothing more than a position and a direction, so that when that segment moves, it knows to move in a particular direction from a particular position. And the body is just a collection of the segments and is a controller of the segments. Let's take a quick look at the design for the body. Now, as you can tell here, the body itself is very, very simple. It's just, again, a collection of segments, and that's all there really is to it, and an ID itself. I mean, that's it. That's all the body really needs to do. The key thing here is that when we get to the methods, that's where all the really fun stuff is going to happen. All of our properties are read-only, just getter functions. I'm going to return the length, which is the full length of the number of segments, the ID, and the segments themselves. And what's going to be interesting about this is when I return the segments, I don't return the physical segments as they are on the snake. I actually return clones of the segments, in fact, clones of the positions of the segments. And that is very important. I want to keep the integrity of the data intact at all times. So you'll notice throughout all my code and all my different classes, I return copies of everything. All right, the methods are the most important thing. So let's take a quick look at what we're going to have. The first one is grow. Now, when a snake moves and we happen to grab a prize, you know, the snake eats the apple or something like that, then the size of the snake grows. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to tell the body to, hey, you need to grow your snake from a particular position in a particular direction. And usually that is inherited from the head itself. And that will grow the snake of the body of the snake. I'm going to need some way to be able to get a segment at a particular index. I'm also going to need a way to be able to set a to find out if a collision has occurred with the body. And this basically says, has this position collided with the body? And that is important mostly when I'm generating a new prize and I do a random, position on the prize. I don't want the prize to appear on top of a body. So this helps me to check to make sure that whatever position I'm looking for does not collide with a body. Get projected positions is very important, and that allows me to be able to say, hey, this body is going to, if I move, this body is going to be at this location. You may want to be able to take a look at that and see if it does any kind of collisions on its projected move. And that's different from collision here, when collision basically says, does it collide with the current system? This get projected position says, this is where the snake's going to be in the future, which allows me then to do the projected collision, which checks if a collision will occur within the projected movement of the snake. Moves. It goes through each of those segments and said, hey, segment, move this particular speed in whatever direction you are currently set to, and it just does what it does. Shift directions is extraordinarily important. So if you're happily moving your snake along and suddenly you hit the up arrow key and your snake starts going up, well, the rest of your body is going, let's say, to the right. So what happens when we do the shift directions, that it comes down into the body and says, listen, our head has now gone to a different direction. We now need to move that particular body to go back to the same direction as the head. Now the rest of the body stays the same. And then the next move is still going up. Then the second segment of the body will start going up. And then the next move of the third segment, the next move of the fourth segment, and so on and so forth. So the shift directions will always occur after a move has occurred on the snake itself to be able to tell us, hey, this particular snake's direction is being changed on the go as we move. And like I said before, projected collision allows me to say, hey, have you collided with the projected location of the snake? So let's take a look at the code itself. It is extremely simple. There's my segments. As you can tell, I'm getting copies of them. There's my getter for the length, their getter for the ID, getter for the segments. And again, notice that I am returning copies of the segments, not the actual segments themselves. So get segment at index just gets the segment at the index. Grow is very important here. Grow allows me to create the new segment, and I do an unshift. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with unshift, if you have an array and you push a value to an array, it always pushes it to the end of the array. So if we had an array that indexes 0, 1, 2, and 3, the push will put it onto index number 4. But an unshift will put it to index number 0. So then if you do an unshift, the new index becomes, or the value in this particular case, position and direction, or I'm sorry, in this particular case, segment, will be put into position 0. And then 0, the old 0 becomes 1, the old 1 becomes 2, the old 2 becomes 3, and the old 3 becomes 4, and so on and so forth. So unshift puts the value back to the very beginning of the array. Collision, basically, again, like I said before, allows me to determine if something has collided with the current position of the snake, as opposed to projected collision, which allows me to check for collisions that have occurred in the projected positions. And how do I get the projected positions? By running projected positions routine, which gets the projected positions on the segment. And you'll notice if you take a look at the segment, a lot of the same routine methods are here there on the segment as are on the particular body. Move, moves. That's it. And then, of course, the shift directions is the most important one. That basically, this allows me to say, hey, for each of the different segments, I want you to change the direction of the segment based upon the new direction. And then I save the old direction and then set the new direction to the old direction. So the first new direction would be this first direction here. So if my head had changed to go, let's say, north from east, then this first one would be north. I saved the old one for the first segment, which let's just say was east, and I changed the segment's direction to north, and then I saved and then the new direction now becomes east. And that allows me that makes the second one to become east, the third one to become the second one, the fourth one to become the third one, and the fifth one to become the fourth one, and so on and so forth, and ad nauseum, ad nauseum. And that's pretty much all there is to the body. There's really not a whole lot left. Again, the whole purpose of the body is just to be a collection of segments, and the operation and the management of those segments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.